I wouldn't allow anyone near me at all. Nobody could touch me except my closest people, my
Mhm.
closest friends. But in the vulnerability of dealing with this disease, I had to surrender and let people in to deal with the blockages of energy. And if I did not allow people near me, I would be in horrifying shape right now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Talia. Welcome to Tales of Triumph, the Love Metals podcast, where we share stories of victories in life and courage in the face of adversity. Thank you for celebrating perseverance, purpose, and love with us today. We invite you to join our community by subscribing now and finding inspiration from victories big and small. Your engagement and support mean a great deal to us, enabling us to grow and inspire even more people. Today we have an inspiring guest whose story paints a vivid portrait of courage and self-discovery. Coco Jones is a wonderfully talented artist who was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis at 42, although her journey with this illness began nearly a decade earlier. Our conversation takes us through the ways she's found strength in her art while living with MS, but her journey runs deeper as she shares her belief in the connection between her illness and the abuse she endured in her early childhood. A connection that she bravely explores and shares with us with the hope that it can help someone who's listening. Join us as we discuss her incredible story of resilience, the power of creativity, and the profound wisdom she's uncovered in the face of hardship. Please enjoy. This episode contains content of a sensitive nature that may be triggering for some individuals. Hi, Coco. As you know, I am so looking forward to having our conversation today. One, because you and I are already experiencing such a beautiful and deep connection, which is so lovely. And two, because what we're going to talk about today is incredibly important and will probably evoke a lot of different kinds of emotions, at least for myself, and probably for the people listening and watching, which is what any beautiful triumph story worth its weight in gold should do. So first, I'd like to start by sharing with everyone that you are an incredible artist, and your art is infused with so much heart and so much spirit. And that kind of depth can only come from having lived through some things. I'm sure there's life stuff that is influencing your art. Yeah, you're like, yeah. So,
Yeah, a lot of life stuff.
yeah. So
Yeah.
I'd like to touch on one of them, which is you were diagnosed at the age of 42 with multiple sclerosis, which is an autoimmune disease that has your body attacking its own systems. You, however, started having health issues long before you were actually diagnosed. When did that start for you and what was happening?
Ricky and I and a friend Fiona had gone to see the Dalai Lama in Vancouver in 2004, I think it was. And I was so struck by being in his presence that I suffered a deep longing when I came home and a yearning like, what am I doing? I am not on my spiritual path. I've always been a devout person, but I felt like I wasn't in alignment with who I was at all. I can't tell you how out of step with life I was. Like within less than a week of being back, Ricky and I were over at our friends and neighbors, and I just looked at Rick and I was like, oh, something's really wrong, Ricky. Like, we got to go home right now. And within that time, I had such horrifying, debilitating vertigo that I was on my hands and knees. Like, it felt like I was on a ship just being thrown around. I've never experienced that before at all. And then that lasted at least 3 months. I wouldn't wish
That on
what
anyone.
I felt and what I had to deal with on my worst enemy. I was 34 I tried to get help from Western medicine. My doctor thought that it was my inner ear. She thought that the sand molecules were moving around.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I said, I feel it at the base of my skull. Whatever's affecting me, it's at the base of my skull. No one listened to me.
Yeah.
And then, acupuncture and naturopaths were the only people that really listened to me and knew that something else was definitely going on.
Yeah.
But they couldn't pinpoint it either because my symptoms didn't make sense. It wasn't alleviated by the standard things that they were doing to people that helped them. Yeah. I felt like I was a hypochondriac.
Well, there's absolutely a place for Western medicine. And you and I talked about this before. It's not about saying that it doesn't work. No. And I am, through these conversations, hearing time and time again that it's really important to explore all avenues and take a really holistic approach to it, which it sounds like you started doing. And then that spurred 10 years of this before you received a proper diagnosis?
A solid 8. Yeah, I was 42 when I finally received my diagnosis.
Wow.
I had earlier brain scans and things like that, but the demyelination that was going on can affect you at the molecular levels. So it takes a lot of damage to be able to show up on our level of MRIs. If someone could have read my energy, they would have known, oh, something's wrong here.
Understood.
But it wasn't like that.
Wow. Yeah. Interesting. Mm-hmm. So then what was that journey like for you? How on earth did you persevere for so long, both physically and mentally, without having a proper diagnosis and being a mother to 4 kids?
Yeah, I was never allowed to use it as an excuse. If I was truly sick, that's one thing, but I was never allowed to use it as an excuse to not live,
Got it.
I still had to carry on.
Can you explore that further with me? Because I'm curious where that was coming from for your family. Was it that they were like, we love you and we want you to live a full life no matter what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that there wasn't parts that were truly terrifying to them. Mm-hmm. Like I was losing my arms and my legs. I walk hard so that my brain remembers what it feels like at the bottom of my feet because I both lost sensation and then was overstimulated. Like people brushing by me sent like electric shocks that were just horrifying through me. My husband especially, I couldn't conceive of a life where I wasn't my full self and he was losing me completely. Like I was, there's been several times where I've gone completely down.
Right.
And I couldn't feel other people through my fingertips. Mm-hmm. I couldn't touch my kids and sense their faces. I couldn't I was losing all of my senses.
Mm-hmm. In our previous conversations, you've mentioned that you believe the MS is directly connected to another major hardship that you experienced as a child. Can you please share with us what happened in your childhood?
Yeah. Well, from the ages of about 4 to 7, I was molested by my youngest uncle. And I was threatened. Not only was I was a devout little kid, so I was always concerned that I was going to burn in hell for all of eternity. But he made it abundantly clear that my parents would abandon me if I said anything out loud. So I just kept it inside until I was 18. And then I was blessed enough to have people that had even worse situations in their life confront me and say, you need to come out to your family about this. And I mean, it was probably one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. And it was very difficult for my entire family, to be confronted with that.
Yeah, I can only imagine. So that was going to be one of my questions, which is, how was it received when you finally did have the courage to come out about it?
Well, I think it probably has affected my mom and dad their whole life, I feel like, it definitely affected my mom and dad. Yeah, sorry.
It's okay. There's nothing to be sorry about.
What was harder, Talia, was that when I came out to my family and told them about this individual, that I thought the abuse would stop with me. And over time, he weaseled his way into other people within our circles, and it didn't stop there. He ended up just carrying on. He just manipulated his way around things and he just carried on. And when I found that out, years and years later, that's when the MS was just so out of control too. Like, I thought that I had saved people and he just carried on.
Got it. I mentioned at the beginning of this conversation that it was probably going to bring up a lot of emotions. And like for myself, I'm really present to like a very deep sadness right now. And also like a tremendous amount of anger. Like I'm like, this angers me profoundly. And is it safe to assume that you carried anger around with you for a really long time?
I don't know if it was anger because I was still so afraid of being abandoned by my family. What it was a profound disappointment that they didn't listen to me, that I had the courage to come forward. And I guess they didn't believe me because they still allowed this individual to be around their children. And, you know, when I was molested, he wasn't that much older than me. But when he molested the others, he was a man by that time. And I'm a protector.
Yeah.
And that's just, it was just devastating.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was devastating.
Yeah. Well, not only did you go through the initial horrible experience, but you then have to relive it and then have people not listen to you.
Not heed. Well, I think they so desperately didn't want to believe it either.
Yeah.
I can tell you that one of my favorite people that I lost in 2009, she was just a champion for me and would stand up to everybody. So I feel like my Aunt Monique held so much of the anger for me. I think that family systems now are very different than they were when we were growing up. Accountability is very different. Like, my children honestly call me out on my shit constantly. Whereas if we rolled our eyes at our parents, that was like, that was talking back.
Yes.
You know, like, that was completely talking back and being disrespectful.
Yeah.
Whereas, so we kind of flung the other way and went a little bit looser with our children, but family systems are changing. And I didn't want to remain a victim my whole life either over this incident, right? But I definitely can conceive where it's affected my physiology in my being.
Yeah.
And it's been, on the flip side of that, Talia, it's been the greatest gift of my life. Like, it's been a great gift as well. I've met incredible people. I've had unbelievable good luck. I met the best doctors at the perfect time that could help me physically. I feel like the reason why disease can get into our bodies is because a lot of us are starving nutritionally. Our food doesn't have what it used to have 50, 70, 100 years ago, you know, because our soils are so
depleted,
not nutritious. I had extensive blood work on exactly what I was missing so I could feed my body. And I had beautiful friends like Helen Watler who did Eden energy medicine on me for 10 years. I've had therapeutic touch with Judith Schweers. I tried to describe this to you earlier, that I wouldn't allow anyone near me at all. Nobody could touch me except my closest people, my closest friends. But in the vulnerability of dealing with this disease, I had to surrender and let people in to deal with the blockages of energy. And if I did not allow people near me, I would be in horrifying shape right now. horrifying shape.
Got it. And kind of incredible, because what I'm hearing is the MS brought you to a place where your biggest challenge was allowing people to touch you, to be close to you. And when you relate that to what you experienced in childhood, to me, it seems like there's no accident that there's that connection there, that it was about learning how to let people in and let people be close to you.
That's absolutely what I was trying to convey to you.
How profound, really. And just the way life is, like, so perfectly written, designed, orchestrated, whatever word you want to use for it, and the beauty and how it creates our stories for us. What have been some of the most powerful lessons you've learned about living in a body that has experienced both trauma and illness?
Well, if you're not willing to confront the things that are hurting you, then you can't get past them. So I feel like we have to confront these things, and we have to be honest about these things, and we have to have the courage to speak of it, even if we're going to lose our entire family over it, which I didn't lose my mom and my dad, but I've definitely lost the depth of connection with a multitude of people in my family because of it.
I'm so sorry, Coco.
Yeah.
I really am.
Yeah. And I mean, I've forgiven everyone for everything. And I mean, life is busy and everybody has different priorities, but I got some pretty serious hate over it. I got some very, very deep hate.
It's so hard because we want to think that if somebody has the courage, like immense courage, to come out with something that is really important to come out about, that they will be revered and honored, right? Like that's kind of what we hope will happen. And that is not necessarily, and quite often is not the case.
The hard part, Talia, is that you have to be okay if they choose to not validate your point of view. Like you have to be okay if you get ostracized and shunned.
Yeah. And then does that then mean that the next evolution in that process for you is to have compassion for why they're being like that? Like to try and...
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Not everybody wants to do the deep, dark work.
Yeah.
Right? Not everybody's cut out to confront those things. So they don't want to rock the boat. And life is already hard.
Yes.
Like it's already hard.
Yeah.
So I absolutely have compassion. For them. Yeah.
That's so beautiful. And probably a very integral part in your healing process. Yeah.
And you asked me about anger, and if you hold it, it's like charcoal in your hands, right?
Yeah.
The only person it's going to affect is going to be you.
Absolutely.
It's detrimental to you.
Yeah. And your health in all ways, physically, mentally, spiritually. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So how has your art been an outlet for processing these experiences and what's happened in your life?
Well, right from when I conceived that I was going to be a painter for my life, I made the commitment to work for the light.
Beautiful.
So it's just been my process of where I see that in other people and how I just put that on canvas or on wood. When I was first diagnosed, the neurologist knew by my handwriting that something was seriously wrong, because I have beautiful handwriting, but I lost my handwriting. So through the beauty of paint pens, I got my writing back. I use a lot of different things when I work. I work with acrylic on canvas and wood, but I use a bunch of different tools in it now that have allowed me to retrain my brain. Yeah.
Wow. And another incredible metaphor, which is losing your handwriting, which is our classic way to storytell, is to write our stories down. And then after losing that, finding another way to express yourself, your voice, tell your story, tell other people's stories in such a beautiful and powerful way. You've been married to your husband for 26 years?
29.
29 years.
Yeah. And we've been together for 34. So it's been 34 years of coupledom.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then together raising 4 children. How has the gift of your family shaped your outlook on life?
Oh, that's an emotional question. Well, my girl was in crisis at the beginning of COVID, and we almost lost her twice significantly. And I find like that family is quintessential to my being. It's everything that I came here for.
Got it. I understand.
Yeah. And so, like I cannot fathom a life without them. I cannot.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that a lot.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm worried for your questions now.
They get lighter. They get lighter. I'm so sorry. Tea time. Oh.
Yeah. Oh, whew. Thank you.
Thank you. No, honestly, Coco, thank you, because your courage is on so many levels just so beautiful and so inspiring. And yeah, I just want to acknowledge you for that.
Oh,
yeah.
Thanks.
You're lovely.
Thank you,
I love
because
you.
I couldn't have foreseen so many of the things that happened in our life, and so much didn't go the way I wanted, but I can tell you that if your whole family is still earthside, that you can get through so much, you can get through so much.
Coco, I love you. If I was there, I'd be holding you. I'm holding you here right now. Yeah.
I have 2 friends that have lost their sons. One of them very, very recently. And so many people are just going through it so much right now.
Yeah.
Makes me feel like my life is so easy.
I understand.
It's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're here to learn, and each and every one of us has that path that I believe is set out for us before we get here, that we agree to, that we sign on for. And I think there's something happening in the world right now. I think there's a big growing pain happening. And that's why I want to be able to share stories like yours, because we need to be able to support each other through our journeys. It's incredibly important. Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else in addition to your art that has helped guide you through towards healing? I know you've mentioned some other things that have helped you.
I did a plant spirit medicine apprenticeship with Megan Waddy. And it was the deepest, hardest, most beautiful things. Our group of women worked solidly together for 4 years, and we all sat and witnessed each other through some of the hardest things we've ever endured. It has added a dimension to my soul that I didn't even know that I longed for. And I've I don't know, like I have an ancient knowing within me that I didn't think was possible.
Incredible. I know it's so hard to put into words, but is there any way you can attempt or try to convey what that deep and inner knowing is?
We all hold an unlimited medicine within us. Unlimited.
Yes.
I feel like we're going to have to get to a point, the earth is going to be pushed to a point where we have to see the similarities amongst us more than the differences. Like we're going to be force-fed the similarities really quickly.
Yes.
And it's going to force people to release and let go of a lot of things that they held against one another.
1,000,000% release and let go. And then also recognize and see what you just said we all have within us. And you are speaking to what I am incredibly dedicated to and passionate about, which is to have people see their true nature and acknowledge and honor that that's within all of us. So thank you for doing an amazing job of putting it into words, which I know is a difficult thing to do. So with this healing work that you've done, and just to help anyone who's listening who may be traveling along a similar journey, I imagine you've done a tremendous amount of inner child work. Can you share with us what's worked for you? And I do know that you mentioned on your website that your inner child is constantly running around or is in everything that you do. Can you share more?
I just feel like it's the basis of what follow your joy, like what brings you joy, follow that. And I get obsessed and enthusiastic about some pretty ridiculous things for sure. When our inner child are in a good way, we get to witness it outside of ourselves in the children around as well.
Joy, laughter, childlike wonder are so important to have. That's really good medicine to have in our life.
Yeah. And I can't emphasize enough, Talia, how our support systems matter. Like that I have my Erin. She's so beautiful. I've just been so lucky with so many beautiful people around me that are there for me for tub time talks and buying my work or however I'm supported. I'm incredibly lucky.
Erin is a mutual friend of ours who's another incredible human being. So shout out to you, Erin. We love you. There are 3 different kinds of victory stories I like to ask my guests to share about. The first one being small daily victories. What's an example of a small daily victory for you?
I think just getting out of bed with love in my heart. I feel like time is fast and expansive at the same time. Like I feel like I don't have enough time, but I'll have enough time. I'm still gonna figure out a way to fit everything in that I need to.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah. Victory within a failure. So has there ever been a time where you've experienced something as a failure, but were later able to recognize the victory that lay within that?
I feel like I haven't done nearly what I needed to do as far as my painting and my work. But I feel like my priorities have always been in the right place and that I would drop all of this if it was to help my kids. That was kind of a spiritual test for me. Am I going to choose to just ignore life, or am I going to actually stop and tend to what needs to be tended to? Yeah.
So this brings us to your rainbow story, which is your life's overarching story. It starts with a major adversity. It travels through the different colors and experiences of life, and then connects you to your pot of gold, your life's purpose. Have you been able to identify for yourself what your rainbow story might be and what your life's purpose might be?
I feel like they've made it through 3 rites of passage, Talia. I had 2 experiences with wildlife in the rites of passage. My first year, I had a bear come to my spot, and my 3rd year, I had a cougar.
Wow.
It doesn't make me any less terrified of those animals, but it really put in perspective like how much I have confronted the things that I'm afraid of. And I hope that I can be a gentle guidance for anyone in my sphere, anybody who comes into anywhere around me, that I can gently help them through the things that terrify them as well.
Beautiful.
And help them celebrate that there's so much beauty here. I didn't do my rites of passage as hardcore as other people. Like the resilience that I got to witness with myself and others through the rites of passage has helped me get through the hardest I've ever endured in my life in the past 4 years.
Amazing.
And I didn't think I would make it so many times, Talia.
Yeah.
But we're stronger than we could ever imagine.
Yes. Yes. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Are you ready for a quick round of questions?
I don't know. I don't know, Talia. I don't know.
When do you feel the most seen for who you truly are?
When I look at my grandson's eyes, he's seen me right from birth. And I've been so lucky. I was at the births of both of my grandchildren. They see me. They see me. And when I can unabashedly be my wild woman self with the women that I have built such comfort with.
Beautiful.
For sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
How do you honor yourself every day?
I drum and I pray.
Beautiful.
I drum and I pray.
What's your favorite way to celebrate?
Wine and music with my husband.
Beautiful.
Without a doubt, and maybe some scotch sometimes.
Got it.
Maybe.
Love it. That's awesome.
And maybe he's been teaching me how to smoke my pipe properly.
Cool.
We're not smokers, but
yeah.
I need to use my ceremonial pipe. So he's been helping me with that. So I appreciate that too.
I was in a market in Manhattan once and I came across this display, this table, and the person had all these really old pipes that were used, very lovingly used. And I weirdly bought one. I picked one up. And so I have this hilarious pipe, but I don't use it. It's just, I don't know. There's something so tactile. I can tell there's a story there. I have no idea what that story is, but it's somebody's story and it's been smoked and it's gone through whatever with that person. So I get the pipe thing. Yeah.
I'll help you with your pipe, Talia.
Cool. Thank you. Do you have an accessory or a piece of jewelry that has particular meaning for you? And if so, why?
Well, I have my bear tooth necklace that I made when I went back after my dad passed away. I've had really intense medicine dreams with bears and then doing my rite of passage and then having a mom and a baby cub come into my space when I was there.
Beautiful.
Yeah. And I told you that with your necklace that Aaron gave me years and years ago, it had like a ribbon at the top of and I wore it until it fell off of me.
I love how symbolic that is because Aaron gave you a love medal. And we were talking about this earlier where you were saying that you wore it through some stuff. Like you were going through some incredibly difficult stuff and you were wearing it through that. I loved the symbology of it released. It the ribbon came apart when it was time to let go of all of that.
Yeah. And if I remember that, Talia, I got my dignity back after that. I felt like so much of me didn't have my connection to any dignity. Like I'd lost my dignity.
Wow.
And when it broke, I got it. I received it again.
You just gave me a huge gift. Thank you so much. Last one. How do you define a victory or a triumph for yourself?
Oh, when I respond without reacting. Usually I just fly off the handle, but when I can stop myself and respond instead of react, I feel like I've won.
Beautiful. Coco, you are an incredible soul. I truly, truly am inspired by you. There's so much of your story, so much of your journey, your courage, how you've shown up that has me thinking a lot about some stuff in my own life. So I want to thank you for that. I want to acknowledge you for your courage in our conversation today and sharing your story with the hope of helping anyone who's listening who needs to hear this. Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I love you, Talia.
I love
Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Coco, I want to express heartfelt gratitude to you for courageously sharing your story. You stand as a powerful reminder that it's important to do so, not only to heal ourselves, but to also help others. Approximately 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 13 boys experience sexual abuse before reaching adulthood, and often the person is known to the child. So it is highly possible that someone listening today to our conversation may find something helpful towards their own path of healing. And hopefully it can also help bring more awareness and prevention. And so, Coco, please accept this Love Medal certificate in honor of your courage. You've demonstrated that facing life's greatest challenges can reveal the deepest inner strength within us, and that truly speaks to the boundless resilience of the human spirit. For anyone wishing to connect with Coco, we've included her contact details in the show notes. Thank you to those listening and watching. I see, honor, and celebrate you.
I don't know if you can see it. This tattoo is one of the grandfather teachings, and I got it tattooed when I almost lost my daughter. And it's Zungadeayan, which means it's the word for courage, which is Ode is like heart in Anishinaabe.